Morning, Dixie Colonels. Today is Monday, April the 13th. I hope everybody's doing well. Welcome back. Today we're going to go through a quick video. Today we're going to really talk about alcohol. Okay, so I'm going to show you just a bunch of things I have written out. You have these already in your notes. Let's just fly through these real fast. All right, here we go. So, alcohol, most abused drug in the world, more so than heroin, marijuana, methamphetamines, anything. It's alcohol. All right. And we oftentimes hear the word intoxication. What does intoxication mean? It's simply poison to the central nervous system. So when we're talking about central nervous system, and we're talking about this poison, so what does it affect? It affects the brain. Well, it affects all parts of the brain. The cerebral cortex, our decision making, our thinking. It controls our cerebellum, our balance and our coordination, and it affects our brainstem. Our breathing actually slows down. Well, furthermore, it also even affects our nerves. We might not be able to process certain things. Somebody might do something stupid, hit their hand against the wall, whatever, and not quite even feel it. So all parts of the central nervous system. So how bad is alcohol for us? All right, quite significant. So this is stats with alcohol. So we know that we got about 36% of all traffic deaths are related to alcohol. Somebody who was driving, okay? 30% of all hospital beds. Now this might not be at this very moment with the coronavirus, but typically it's about 30% of our hospital beds. So it might be somebody that's suffering from heart disease, kidney failure, liver failure, diabetes because they're drinking so much. So there's so much goes into alcohol on that stat. 30% of all hospital beds related to alcohol some way, some shape or form. 50% of all murders. 80% of all domestic violence, and then 90% of all sexual assaults on college campuses. So kind of give you stats about alcohol. All right, next one. Alcohol per volume. Typically in our domestic beers, domestic means, you know, it's here in the United States. We're not bringing in from some other country. So your Bud Lights, your Miller Lights, those types of products, Coors Lights, all that type of stuff. Typically, we're around 5%. Sometimes you might see anywhere from 4% or 4.5% to 5.5%. So let's just put it right there in the middle, 5%. Wine, 12%. All right. And then we get into something a little bit harder to understand. Not real hard, but your vodkas, your rums, your whiskeys, they're going to label their alcohol in something we call proof. All right. Now, all you got to do is take that number, proof, and divide by 2 or cut it in half, and that's how much alcohol you have per volume. So if you had an 80 proof vodka, just cut it in half, so it's 40% alcohol. All right. You may have heard the expression from your parents, you know, make sure you're home by midnight. Nothing good happens after midnight. And they might not have the stats, but they are right about this. So drivers under the influence, DUIs or DWIs, driving while influenced or intoxicated, okay, driving while intoxicated or driving while under the influence. So we have, if we would sit outside Dixie Heights High School and on a Friday night, if we did a class experiment, we would see that about 1 out of every 7 cars after 1 a.m. somebody would be intoxicated. And then on weekends, it's a lot higher, 1 out of every 5. And then we have a couple dates in particular that are really, really dangerous. Your New Year's Eve, the night before Thanksgiving. Those are 2 of the most dangerous nights to be on the road. So please keep that in mind for future reference. All right, so blood alcohol levels or blood alcohol factors. BAL, blood alcohol level. And here's our factors. So I listed this from least to greatest. And there's tons and tons of myths out there. Oh, take a shower and that will sober you up. No, it won't. Drink a bunch of coffee. That will sober you up. No, it won't. Okay, you have these 4 factors. And oftentimes people say, oh, well, I just need to eat a lot of food before I drink and then I won't get intoxicated. Well, that's just that's really not true. Okay, stomach content does play a little bit of a factor, but it's not near as significant as a lot of people think. Okay. And if somebody would eat a lot of food, let's say somebody went to McDonald's and ate a hamburger, all it does is slow up the absorption time for that alcohol to get into your bloodstream. Okay, so we'll come back here and talk about time in a second. Okay, so stomach content has a little bit of a factor. Your gender, all right? Males produce a enzyme in their liver that allows them to process alcohol at a faster rate. A female lacks it. So if a female and a male are typically trying to drink the same amount, a female is going to get intoxicated quicker than the male because she doesn't have that enzyme that breaks down that alcohol. Well, she has the enzyme, she just doesn't produce it as much as the male. Okay. Weight is a big one. So if you have a 240-pound guy and a 160-pound guy, and they're trying to drink the same amount, all right, the 240-pound guy is going to have a lower amount of blood alcohol level. All right, so if they both consumed 5 beers, the 240-pound guy is going to have less BAL. Okay, he might act different, and that goes back to tolerance, but his blood alcohol level would be lower than the 160-pound guy. Okay, the reason is this: if I'm 240 pounds, I have even far more blood vessels. If I have more blood vessels, I also have more blood volume. So that alcohol is dispersed over a larger area. So hopefully that makes sense to you. Time is the number one thing. All right, if you have 2 people going out and they're drinking, and let's say that they both consume 4 beers. Now, even though they both drank 4 beers, if one person drank 4 beers in 1 hour, they might be intoxicated a fair amount. If another person had 4 beers over a 8-hour stretch, their blood alcohol level would be a lot lower. So time is the number one thing. All right. So something near and dear to our hearts, we've lost a family member to a drunk driving accident where they were a passenger. They weren't behind the wheel, but they were a passenger and they died. So I hope that has never happened to you, that your family's been had that type of horrific accident, something that you hopefully never have to go through. But here are blood alcohol levels. All right, so anybody under the age of 21, they are not allowed to exceed 0.02. Whether a cop would want to arrest them at slightly higher than that, that's up to that particular law enforcement. But anybody under the age of 21 cannot exceed 0.02. Okay, a little bit of alcohol might be in some cough medicine. If somebody would go to a particular church and they would happen to drink wine at church, so they might have a little bit of trace of alcohol in their bloodstream. So they give you a little bit of a wiggle room, but anything over 0.02, you could be charged with a DUI if you're under the age of 21. 0.04 CDL, that means a commercial driver's license. So anybody that's driving a bus, a semi truck, anything like that, they cannot exceed that. They're carrying either a lot of weight, a lot of people, where they have to have a little bit stricter guidelines, okay? Because if they're in a case of an accident, you're talking probably about a lot more casualties, okay? So 0.05 we refer to as mild intoxication at 0.08. All 50 states have gone to this. Now, all 50 states were not here at 0.08 at one point, okay? We used to be at 0.10, but at 0.10 we realized that reflexes are 5 times slower. So when there was a big problem with people drinking and driving, all the way back even in the 80s, there are certain guidelines that came in place that said, hey, federal government, you need to come down stricter on your states in terms of making these penalties a lot harder for drinking and driving. And some states resisted. They wanted the income. They wanted people out in bars late at night and producing more sales tax. So they had a little bit of resistance, but then the federal government came back and said, hey, if you don't come stricter on your laws, we're going to take some of that federal money that we provide for your bridges and your roads. We're going to take that away from you. So now all 50 states use it at 0.08 as a legal limit. All right, we talked about 0.10 reflexes can be up to 5 times slower. 0.15, speech and balance issues start becoming an issue. And please keep in mind, and I'm reading this, it's going to vary from person to person. If a person has a high tolerance, yeah, they might still be at that level, but they might not show any signs or symptoms because they're used to it, all right? So you might find a person at a 0.15, they're not going to have speech or balance issues if they are a big-time drinker, Okay? They drink on a regular basis. You might not even know that they're intoxicated at all, except maybe occasionally smell it on their breath or smell it on their clothes. All right? At 0.25, so these are just typical guidelines. Somebody typically becomes unresponsive. They might black out. At 0.35, sorry, that's wearing away there. Occasionally, people will be in comas at this point. All right? And at 0.40 or higher, we oftentimes will have death. So what can you do to prevent DUIs? All right? There's a lot of things that people can do. All right? So here we go. Well, bars and certain establishments, they will not sell alcohol after a certain time. So unfortunately, we don't have baseball right now with this quarantine. But if that was the case, the Cincinnati Reds do not sell beer after the 7th inning stretch. So they allow, go back to this time, the biggest factor, all right, time right there, they allow somebody to sober up in the bottom of the 7th inning, the 8th inning, and 9th inning before they would drive home. Hopefully they're not even getting behind the wheel. If they've been drinking at all, hopefully they're not. But, you know, there's certain policies. Cincinnati Bengals, I'm sure that there's other NFL teams, they don't serve beer after the 3rd quarter. So, all right, moving on. Any bar tender, a waiter, they can refuse service if they find that somebody's intoxicated. A party plate, what that means is if somebody was having a party, everybody would drop off their keys into a basket, whatever, and that person that's throwing the party doesn't allow anybody to leave. Okay, they have to spend the night there. So party plates are good, but they can be bad in the fact that if I was the owner of that house and I was throwing a party and then I tried to arbitrarily pick and choose who I thought was intoxicated and I wasn't, and I was giving some of the keys back, all right, that's a problem because, again, somebody could be over the lit and yet they're not slurring their speech. They don't have any balance issues. And if I would give keys to somebody like that, all right, that would be irresponsible for me. So if somebody has a party like that, party plates are a good idea, but under no exceptions can people should be allowed to leave. Okay, PSAs, public service announcements. I'll put a public service announcement that I'd love for you to watch. It's a really strong, powerful one. So we'll go with that. Taxis and Ubers, sometimes those will sit outside bars and restaurants and clubs. All right, designated drivers, wonderful thing. Cost. Like I mentioned before with the Reds and the Bengals, sometimes it's really cost prohibited to go get intoxicated at a ball game. You might spend excess of $10 for a beer at one of those places. Well, a person that struggles with finances, sometimes that's going to be hard for them to spend more than $20 on beer. So if they're only having 2 beers, maybe they're not going to be intoxicated as much, especially like a football game that you might be there for over 4 hours. All right. And then number one thing is what we're doing here right now is education. Hopefully we get a better understanding about alcohol, the dangers of it. And again, if it is causing all these stats right here, I think it's something that we got to take, we can't take lighthearted. We got to take serious. And I hope that you guys do too. I know our family does. And tomorrow, you're going to see a video. I'd love to do it with you guys. We had drunk goggles. We have them here at Dixie, and I wanted you guys to go through it. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to. So tomorrow, I'm going to have my kids, my own 2 kids, wear drunk goggles, and you're going to get to laugh at them because they're going to have to go through a couple field sobriety tests, like you might see somebody walk the line, okay, or try to catch a simple ball. And then I think I'm going to have my daughter have to get on a lawnmower and have to drive around our yard and have to go through cones. I actually kind of essentially drink and drive with drunk goggles on. So pay attention to that tomorrow. Stay tuned, and we'll catch you then. All right, have a great day, guys.